Hey everybody, welcome to Setta's Place. In today's video, you're going to be making the New Beginnings cardigan I have designed. I am using two colors. This light blue is the main color and this is my contrast. They are a yarn from Cascade Yarns. And the color is just a color number. Here are the numbers in case you're interested in getting these colors. And that is Cascade Yarns. And you'll need a 6mm hook, which is a J, a yarn needle, and a pair of scissors. Today's tutorial is a solid rectangle. Let me show you how to make one of these. So let's get started. Start with your slip knot. And for this project, there's going to be two different starting chains. If you're making the small medium, you are to chain 34. If you're doing large or more, it is 42. So let's get 42 chains. I'm doing the large size. Okay, I have my 42 chains, and we're going to double crochet in the third chain from the hook. And on this one, make sure you go into only the top strand. Don't get two of them, just get one. And there's a specific reason for that, so just get one of the strands. And do a double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet all the way across until you get to your last stitch. And I'll meet you when you get there. Okay, we made it to the end. We have one stitch left. And we're going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch. And then I want you to chain 1. And put 3 double crochets in that same stitch. So it's 1, 2, and then chain 1, and put 2 more double crochets in the same stitch. Okay, so this is going to be our corners, and we're going to be working on the other side of your chain. So you're not going to be turning your work over. We're just going to go around and we're turning the corner and we're going back across the chain. So it should look like this. Okay, so now we're going to do double crochets in the next stitch and work over your tail. That way that will be done. So you go into your next stitch and do a double crochet. Like that. And do that all the way until you get to your last stitch on this side, and I'll catch up with you when you get there. Also, make sure you get both of these strands that are left. The reason I wanted you to do that is catch one on this side, but you're catching both of them on this side is so that the hole in between here is not very big. I didn't want it to be gappy, so there's no holes right here because we're doing it this way. So when you do your double crochet, make sure you grab both of those when you make your stitch. And it just makes it, I think it looks better with less holes right here. Okay, I've made it to the end and I have one stitch left. And in there, we are going to put 2 double crochets. Chain 1. And then 3 more double crochets in the same space. And then chain 1. And then you're going to slip stitch in the top of this chain 2. Your turning chain here at the top of that one, we're going to slip stitch. So this counts as 2 stitches right here. So there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches in that in that space on the end. And it matches the other end. Okay, from here, we're going to continue going around like this. Then chain 1, and then do a double crochet back into the same stitch you just went into. And then double crochet in the next stitch. And you're going to double crochet all the way around until you get to this chain 1 space at the other end. And that's where I'll catch up with you. Okay, we've made it to the chain 1 space, and we're going to put 2 double crochets in that space. Chain 1 and 2 more double crochets in that same space. And then we're going to put a double crochet in the next 3 double crochets. And sometimes you have to pull that over to get that top of that first stitch. And put 1 double crochet in each of the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next chain 1 space, we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets all in the same space. So that is what our corners are looking like. And the reason I put that chain 1 instead of a chain 2 right here is so that there won't be gaps, big gaps. All right, now we're going to put a double crochet in every stitch along the side. Remember to scooch that one over so you can get that first stitch. And then 1 double crochet in every one across until you get to the chain 1 space over here. And you stop when you get over here. Okay, we made it to the chain 1 space, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in that space, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in the same space. That will always be our corner. Do that in the corners on every round. And then make sure you scooch over so you can get this first stitch here. And we're going to put 1 double crochet in every stitch till you get to the chain 1 space on this side. Okay, and then here's our chain 1 space. And you can mark these chain 1 spaces if you need to, so that you can determine where you need to be the next time you come around. If it makes it easier, just put a stitch marker in the chain 1 space. I'll go ahead and mark this one so you can see what I'm talking about when I come back around. Okay, so this next chain one space, we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets, all in the same space. And this is where you would mark the chain 1 space. And then you're going to slip stitch in the top of this stitch right here. Not that you did a chain 1 in there, but we're skipping that. You're going to slip stitch in the top of this double crochet. And that is what it's looking like so far. Now we're going to repeat that all the way around. I'll go with you one more time. Chain 1, go back into the same space and do a double crochet. Double crochet in every space till you get to your chain 1 at the other end, which is this one. And now we have a marker, so you know exactly where you need to stop. You stop before you go in there. And I'll catch up with you when you get to that point. Okay, we've made it to the chain 1 space. Just remove your marker, and we're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in that same space. And then replace your marker in the chain 1 space. And then here you're going to notice each round you get more double crochets in between before you get to your corners. So you make sure you pull that back so you can get to the top of this first stitch, and you put your 7 double crochets across. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you made it to your chain 1 space. And in there you're going to put your 2 double crochets, chain 1, and 2 more double crochets in the same space. And then put your marker back in the chain 1 space. And then you're going to double crochet across. Make sure you get that one that hides there and make a double crochet. And do that all the way to your next chain 1 space. Okay, we made it to the chain 1 space. And we're going to do the same thing to the corner. Two double crochets, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in the same space. A double crochet in every one of these stitches till you get to the chain 1 space. And then when you get here, you put your 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets in the same space. And then you need to make sure you pull that over and get this double crochet that's a little hidden. And then one more. And then when you get to where you started over, you skip that chain 1 that you did, and you go into the top of this double crochet right here and slip stitch. So that's what you do. Then you start over, chain 1, double crochet back into the same space, and double crochet across to your next chain 1 space. So that is what you're going to be doing till you get to the size of the rectangle that you need. Keep going around and keep going around until you have it the length or the width that you are trying to get. The New Beginnings cardigan. This one right here, I am actually making the large size. So in this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I did 7 rounds for this size, with this size yarn, and I'm using a size 6 hook. This pattern is versatile because it goes by measurement. After you do your first initial chain, depending on what size you're making, after that, the size and the width of your rectangle depends on you. You measure from shoulder to shoulder. Now, I personally like it to go over the shoulder just a little bit. So if this was your shoulder, I'd go over a little bit on each side so it hangs over just a little bit to give you a little more room. And that whatever that measurement is what is the width of your rectangle should be for your back. So you do that rectangle to that size for the cardigan. And then you need to make 2 more exactly the same of these. So that's a total of 3. So once you get those 3 done, I'll catch up with you to do the next step. Okay, now that you have got your rectangle the size that you are wanting it to be, you need to fasten off. Okay, so now we're going to go to the chain 1 space here on the corner, and we're going to attach our yarn. And you can work over your tail. We're going to chain 2 and then double crochet in the next stitch. And then double crochet in the next one after that. And we're going to do that all the way across. 1 double crochet in every stitch across until you get to this chain 1 space over here. I'll catch you when you get there. Okay, we made it to the end, and I have 1 more stitch left on this row. And then I want you to go ahead and go in this chain 1 space and make a double crochet in there also. And it matches the other end. So, okay, I want you to chain 2 and then turn your work. Flip it all the way over. And we're going to be working this away, and then we're going to do a double crochet back into the same stitch that this chain 2 is in. So go all the way back in and make a double crochet, and then double crochet in the next stitch, and then in the next one we're doing double crochets all the way across here. So you keep making your double crochets all the way across until you get to this end, and I'll catch up with you then. Okay, we made it to the end. I have a couple more stitches. There's 1. And then this is that chain 3 that we did. So I want you to do 1 into that, a double crochet in the top of that. It might be a little fiddly to get that in there. Okay. So now we're going to chain 2. Now from here on, we're going to do chain 2s at the end of our rounds, and it will not count as a stitch. So you turn, and we're going to put a double crochet back into that same stitch, and then double crochet in the next stitch, and double crochet all the way across until you get to the other side. So when you get over here, you're going to double crochet into this last stitch here. Do not make a stitch into this chain 2. That does not count. So we're going to stop right here, and then chain 2 and go back. So that is your repeat. You can keep going back and forth until you get the length that you need till you reach the end of your back. I'm going to show you on my original piece, and I'll tell you how many rows I did on that one, and then but you determine how long you need it by how it fits to your body. Now for me, when I started my double crochets and then going down, I've got, let's see, how many rows do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. I did 20 double crochet rows all the way back and forth for the size of my rectangle. I want to show you on this piece so you can maybe have a better understanding of how it's going to be constructed. Okay, this is the piece we're working on with the double crochets. I just haven't finished mine down yet, but you're going back and forth with the double crochets. The way it's going to be constructed, okay, this is the back, but on your shoulders, and then your other rectangles that you have are going to be laid the front panels. So this is your shoulders up here, and then you'll sew these down, and this will be the shoulder, and this will be the front panel on one side. And then you have another panel on this side, and your shoulders up here. So now you can see, if you attach these, this is your back. You'll need all these double crochets to match the length of this side of your first panel, so it'll be even at the bottom. So you keep crocheting your double crochets until it matches the length of this one. Hopefully that will give you an idea of how, how we're going to put this together. So yeah, you work on finishing your double crochets back and forth, and then we will go from there. Okay, I made it to the end of my double crochet row, and for me, I ended up crocheting 21 double crochet rows after I attached to my rectangle. So I counted, and I have 21 rows. The other one I made, that's in the gray, ombre, it took 20 rows. That yarn is slightly thicker than this one, so it took me just an extra row to get the same height as this one. So your numbers may be different also. Just depends on the thickness of the yarn you're using and what hook you're using. But okay, so now we are going to fasten off. Okay, so now we're going to attach our shoulders to the back of our cardigan. There's two ways to do it. I like to crochet my pieces together to join, but if you prefer to do a whip stitch or whatever your favorite joining, you can do that. But for me, I'm going to crochet them together. So I need to have my right side up for the back, and I grab one of my rectangles with the wrong side facing up. So we have the right sides together. And then I'm gonna crochet this shut. And like I said before, you can do a whip stitch however you like For whip stitches, you normally put it on the right side facing up. But okay, so let's go ahead and attach these. And I'm gonna start at the corner, attach to make sure they're even. Here's the corner. Get my yarn. So I got my 2 pieces evenly matched up, and I'm just going to single crochet back into the corner spot, and then single crochet catching both sides, and I'm sewing my tail at the same time. And you just do that all the way across until you catching both sides until you get to the end over here. Okay, I have, I think, about 1 more stitch to go. And I'm going to get this last one and going into the corner of that rectangle. And then just fasten off. On that side. And then when you turn it around on the correct side, you can see this is where we did our join, and it is now connected. Okay, do the other side. Get your other rectangle and do the same thing to this side. Face it down. Like that. And then do the same thing and fasten that side down. And I'll catch up with you when you have finished that. Okay, I finished attaching. I got both of the shoulders together and I have it facing right side up. And there is our seam where we seamed it together. So now what we're going to do is you're going to turn to one of your panels, either one, on the side. And this is the front panel and this is your back. We're going to put a extension on starting at the back, and we're going to have it reach over to this one. This is where you decide how much space you need in between your back and your front panel. I'm going to show you on my other one that's already made so you can see a better idea of what I'm talking about. So this is the way it would look normally if I set it up. This is your front panel, this is your back. So this is the part we're going to be doing right now. It connects both sides. And then I'm putting, I like this little ridge. I think it gives it a little bit of a texture, the way we're going to do that. That is optional. You don't have to have that ridge there, but I'll show you that when we get there. So for me, I needed to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of double crochet. Some people might only need to do 4 or maybe just 2, depending on how wide you need this. So we're going to connect on and do our double crochets, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now we're back to this one. So go to your back panel on either side. Doesn't matter which one you start with. Now I like to start from the bottom and work my way up. And you're going to stop right where the triangle corner is. And then we're going to go back and forth with double crochets. So with your work on the right side up, we're going to connect to this corner down here. Let's attach on this corner. And then we're going to do 2 double crochets. Go back into that same space and do a double crochet. And then we're going to evenly space out as the double crochet is going across here, because there is no, no stitches to go into. So you just have to go into them as evenly as you can. It doesn't matter how many's in there, just as long as it's evenly done. And I just kind of eyeball it. I like to go into a space that has a little bit of yarn to it, because if you go into the gaps, it's going to be too holy. So go into a space that has some yarn to it. And even into the stitch itself, into that side of that double crochet, if you need to. And make sure you get like at least two strands, so it'll be secure. And you just go all the way across and just do it as best as you can, as many as you can get in there, with it not being too no, as best as you can. Okay. All right, just keep going across until you get to the end of that rectangle. Okay, I also want you to do one double crochet into that actual space there on that corner. And that will be your last double crochet for that row. And then we're going to chain one, and we're going to turn our work. Then double crochet back into the same space. And then double crochet across. And you're going to go all the way until you get to here, and you're going to turn, chain one, and then go back. So you're going to go back and forth here until you get the width that you need. You can try it on, you can put it over your shoulders and see how much space you need to comfortably meet your front and your back together. I'll let you know how many rows that I did once I have completed it. When I come back, I'll let you know how many I did on this one, because this yarn's a little thinner than the other one. All right, I will catch up with you when you have got the size of the side panel that you need. Also, I wanted to tell you, when you get to the end of your row, that chain 3 that you did at the beginning, you do need to put a stitch in the top of that chain 3. And then when you chain 1 and turn on your next round, you do not, this chain 1 does not count as anything. And then you turn, and then you start your double crochet back into the same stitch, and then keep going across. Okay, I made it to my last row, and I ended up having to do 8 rows of double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is the width that I needed for my size. So now we are going to, don't fasten off, and we're going to connect this side to your front panel. So we're going to match these up. So you start at the bottom, make sure it's even at the bottom. Okay, so this is where I left off, and this is the panel. We're going to go into the corner and do a slip stitch just to attach them together. And then we're going to line up each stitch with a slip stitch. So go back into the corner piece where you just came out of, right here. And then go on to the other side, back through, and do a slip stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch through both sides, and not tightly, just do it on the loose side because you don't want it to draw up. And you match both sides, do a slip stitch, and you do that all the way up. And this is what you're going to be getting. You're going to have like a upraised section here, and I think that's really pretty for the texture. If you do not want yours to have that look, you can sew these two pieces together with the whip stitch. You can single crochet it together from the inside and then turn it. So it's however you wish to do this section, but I thought that gave it a little character. So let's continue on doing slip stitches through both sides loosely. Okay, continue doing that till you get to the end here, and I'll catch up with you then. Okay, I've made it to the end. I have one more slip stitch to do, the very last stitch, and then fasten off. Okay, so we have connected our front panels. So that is how it looks. Now you need to do that to the other side. Connect your other sides together. And then when you finish that, we will start working on the border at the bottom. We will attach to the bottom and work on adding some more length to our cardigan. Okay, we're at the bottom of our cardigan. This is where we just made our slip stitches, and this is the bottom. And we're going to start in this corner of the panel, rectangle panel, and we're going to attach in that corner. And we're going to chain one. And then we're going to do one single crochet back into that same spot. And then we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to single crochet all the way across to the other rectangle panel on the other side. And when you get here, I'll catch up with you when I get here, and I'll show you how to make this crossover between these spaces. Okay, when you get to this section here, you're not going to do anything special. All you're going to do is do a single crochet into the corner, and you bypass this section here and go on the other side and put another single crochet that way. And then the section right here for the extension and the back, there are no stitches to go into. So you'll have to do the same thing. You'll have to evenly space out some single crochets across, all the way across, until you get back to, where you have an actual stitch to work into. So I like going into the side of that double crochet, do a single crochet, and then going to make it evenly as possible, and make sure you grab some of the loops, not just in the open space. But all right, so you do that all the way till you get back over to this corner over here, and I will catch up with you then. Okay, I made it to the end, and we're going to chain one and turn our work. And then we're going to do double crochet in the same stitch and then a double crochet in the next stitch, and double crochets all the way across till you get to the other end of your row. Okay, I made it to the end, and we're going to do chain 1 and turn again. Double crochet in the same stitch. And double crochet in the next stitch, and double crochet across to the end of that row. Okay, I made it to the end, and I ended up making 3 double crochet rows for the bottom of my cardigan. We are going to be doing next a front post, back post edging or ribbing. And this is where you can determine how long you want your cardigan to be. You can either add more double crochet rows here to make it longer, and then add your ribbing to that. But if you do like me, I'm going to change color right here. So my ribbing is a darker blue. So I'm going to get my color change here going. And I'm switching to this darker blue. Okay, I have my color on, and I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to cut this light blue. And then you're going to turn. Okay, now we're going to do a double crochet back into the same stitch that chain 2 is in. And then you're going to double crochet across all the way till you get to the other end. I want to show you right here, since I changed color, if I do a front post and a back post stitch, I'm going to show you why I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do it on the next row. But I'm going to show you what it would look like if you were to do the front post, back post, when you're if there's a different color involved. And so you can see the difference. Okay. See, if I started my front post, back post ribbing on this round, you would have this odd color that would come up here, and then there's still the color of your cardigan. And I just don't particularly like this look. So that's why I am going to do a row of double crochets first, and then start my front post, back post in this opposite color. If you're using the same color, then it won't matter. You can go ahead and start the front post, back post. But I'm going to do a row of the darker color, and then when I come back, I'll show you how to start the front post, back post. Okay, I made it to the end. So now we're going to do our front post, back post ribbing. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn. And then we're going to do a front post in the next stitch. Go around the post, pull up, and make a double crochet. The next one is a back post, double crochet. Next one is a front post, double crochet. And then a back post. So you repeat that, alternating front post and back post until you get to the end of your row. And once you get to the end of your row, you chain 3 and turn, and you continue that pattern until you get the width that you wanted. I'll let you know how many I end up doing. That way you can kind of decide what you like. If you want a thicker ribbing, you can just keep going and making it, as wide as length as you want, as much length as you want. All right, I will catch up with you when you have finished your ribbing, and then we will go from there. Okay, I've made it to my last stitch, and I ended up doing 4 rows of front post, back post stitches. So a total of this dark blue, I did 1 round of double crochet and 4 rounds of front post, back post.